and welcome to another episode of Books and Baking, where we bake a recipe that's found in the back of a picture book. This month we'll be making Whopper Cake from Whopper Cake by Carmel Wilson and Will Hillenbrand. We'll be making a Whopper Cake, which is a gooey, delicious chocolate cake with chocolate frosting. This is a whopper amount of ingredients. Without further ado, let's get started. Now, in case you can't tell from the cover of this book, they make the cake in the bed of a truck because it's so whopper large. I will just be using a 9x13 cake pan because I do not have a pickup truck to bake my cake in. Alright, first things first, I'm going to need to preheat my oven to 350. Alright, my oven is preheating. Took off my cardigan. Let's get to work. First things first, we'll need a pan. Well, where's my pan? One 9x13 pan. Ta-da! I like making it so it has a lot of room. I'm going to do all of my stuff in the same bowl, but I won't use my electric mixer just yet. Now, the first thing we need to do is combine 1 cup of cocoa powder, 1 cup of butter, and 1 cup of really hot water. So, for a disclaimer, I didn't have any cocoa powder, so I'm going to be using hot cocoa mix, which is an okay substitute. But if you have cocoa powder at home, use that first. And spoilers, I've already measured it, and it takes 5 packets of hot cocoa mix to equal 1 cup of cocoa powder. We also need very hot water, so I'm going to be boiling mine beforehand. Now I have my butter and my 1 cup of very hot water. Now I'm just going to use a spatula. I'm going to add in my 1 cup of very hot water. And we're gonna mix. And you mix all the way until it has no more lumps. My spatula wasn't working. I'm gonna switch to a whisk. All right, our butter has dissolved, our hot cocoa mix is incorporated, and now we are able to add the next ingredient. Set that off to the side for a second. So now we're going to need our buttermilk, eggs, and vanilla extract. One thing is I did not have buttermilk at the store, so I'm actually going to be making my own buttermilk, and it's super simple. You just need the 1 cup of milk, and then you need a tablespoon of lemon juice, or you can use vinegar. I'll be using lemon juice. And then you just give it a good mix, or you can make a mess like I did. Sometimes I mix too hard. Once your mess is clean, just add your buttermilk to the mixture. Give it a good mix. Now we need 2 eggs. Mix again. Last but not least, 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract, or imitation vanilla, which is what I'm using. Quick little mix. Now this is where it gets interesting. So now you're supposed to sift in all the dry ingredients into our bowl, and that's when we can switch to our electric mixer. So we'll be sifting in 2.5 cups of white sugar, 3 cups of cake flour, and 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 1 teaspoon of salt, and 1 teaspoon of baking powder. Let's put all those in a bowl before we add them in here. Another disclaimer, I did not have any cake flour at the store, but I found out that you can use all-purpose flour, take out 2 tablespoons from one of your cups that you're measuring from, and replace it with cornstarch. So I guess that's what I have to do. And now we're just going to give this a quick mix to incorporate everything together. Now it does say to sift in all the dry ingredients, and I don't have a sifter, so a tiny strainer it is. So this might take a while. To start off my mixing, I am going to use a wooden spoon before I move to my kitchen mixer, because if I just start incorporating all the dry stuff into the wet stuff, I'm going to make a mess. I'm having a lot more luck with my whisk, so I'm going to change to my whisk attachment, and then I'm going to use my KitchenAid mixer. The thing about baking, sometimes you just got to figure out what's going to work for you. It's a lot easier on my arm. Whisk. Ooh, it's getting thick. Back onto the electric mixer. And let's get these incorporated. Once all your dry is in with your wet, you're gonna run your electric mixer for about 2 minutes. Now that my mixture is done, we're going to grease and flour our pan. So what I'm gonna do, I have this little bit of leftover butter. You only need about a tablespoon. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use this butter to grease my pan, and then I'm gonna sprinkle a little flour over the bottom so that it's easy to get the cake out once it's done. As you can see, my pan is all buttered up all the way up the edges as well. And now I'm just going to take a little bit of flour and we're gonna sift it over the top. Yes, it turns out I did have a sifter, but this is the size of it, and that would have taken too long. All right, the pan is greased, the oven is hot, and that means that it is time to bake this baby. Now, your mixture will be liquidy, and I always like to use a spatula to make sure to get every little bit. All right, now we're gonna pop our cake in, cook it for 30 minutes or until a knife is inserted in the middle and doesn't come out with a bunch of gook sticking to it. The book said that, not me. And now you know the drill. While the cake cooks, I'm gonna clean my kitchen. See you in 30 minutes. Our cake's got to cool down for about 30 minutes and then we can eat it. While it cools down, let's talk about our book here. The story follows a kid who helps their grandfather bake a cake for their grandmother's birthday. And she says, "Don't bake me a big one. I swear your cakes are getting bigger every year." So as the grandfather starts to cook, he's adding all the ingredients that you need. All of the eggs, and it's getting bigger, and now he's adding the vanilla, and now he's adding the flour and the sugar, and all of a sudden, lo and behold, you'll never guess, they end up putting it into the bed of a truck because he's using too many ingredients and he knows that he needs to make the biggest cake possible. And if you're wondering how exactly you cook a cake in the bed of a truck, you might just have to check out the book and find out what happened. Just know that you shouldn't follow along with Granddad. Instead, follow along with the recipe in the back, which is what I followed. Because again, I don't have a pickup truck to bake my cake. The fun thing about this book is that you get to follow along as they make the cake as if you are the grandchild. Now, I think our 30 minutes should be close. Let's check in on our cake. My frosting's on the side here. I'm gonna add it on in a minute, but that's the end of our episode. Thanks for watching this episode of Books and Baking. Bye!